What's up, chat room? There we go. Yeah, there we are. I see you guys now. Excellent. If you haven't followed me on Blue Sky and you got an account on there, hop on. The Major just joined, and we're going to get everybody over there. Because they just added a Threads feature. So basically, it's old Twitter. It's the entire mechanics are the same. The only thing it doesn't have yet is an edit button, and we survived for a long time without that. So get in there. Be up in just 1 minute. And hit that like right away. Annoy the crap out of maggots. Yeah, Spoutable has an edit button. It's not going to be the thing. Blue Sky is going to be the thing. It tripled the traffic of Threads. We'll talk about this on the show this morning with the Major, and we'll get into the details of appointments and stuff. So get in here, folks. Share it out. Let the Stefez know we're here. Let the Midas Touch people know we're here. Let the David Pacman crowd know we're here. Because I'm not being deferential anymore, kids. Ain't happening. I'm elbowing my way to the front of the line. Get used to it. Let's get started in here real quick before we get started and bring in the Major. I have this graphic up in my corner that says halsparks.bsky.social. For that, you don't have to use that anymore. You can now just look up halsparks.com on Blue Sky, and I'm basically verified. And I'm going to do everything I can for those that can't figure it out on their own to show all of our friends like Boston Brian and Texas Paul and others, and of course His Majesty, the man himself, the Major, who's joining us right now, how to get up their verified website up there so that when you see them on Blue Sky, you will find them by their website name. You know, whatever it's and Major. Do you have you have your own website for yourself, and you have turnleftpack.org?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, so I can't see you, by the way.
Oh, no. Oh, that's right. Hold on. The virtual there we go. Bink. We're both up. Now it's up. Yeah, there we go. So the exodus, and it should be called an exodus, that is happening right now, arguably should have happened sooner. And in point of regret, that there's a reality that once people started beating feet to get out, there was a chorus of people, respectfully to those people, who were saying, ride or die, we're not going to let him turn Twitter into something or else. Like, it's a real physical space, and it really had worth beyond the fact that it is a private piece of software. That's all it is. That's all any of these things are. It's all Facebook is. And if you don't believe me, ask MySpace. If you don't believe me, ask Snap, that has been ice skating uphill against TikTok since it rolled into town. And Snap is an American company. There is no reason why Snap should swipe over TikTok, period. Because your privacy concerns on Snap are better. You can still do those short goof videos. It does all the shit. TikTok just stole it. And what they did was they made it permeate on a lot of different on phones all throughout Asia and the like. And so by doing that, it just created this artificial wave of audience. Oh my God, look at all these people I can reach. Well, A, if they're bots, and B, they're unreachable. Who gives a fuck? And that's where we should have been the minute Elon Musk, in retrospect, took over X and just said, okay, I'm out, period. But it was still functional for a time. It is no longer functional. There is no reason to be on X anymore. You can keep the website available so that you can look up shit on there without having an account, because you can still look at pages on there, just like Truth Social. You don't need an account on Truth Social to look at someone's feed. If you need, as a news person even, to pull stuff from that, you don't have to have an account. The engagement is farcical and grotesque. So, goodbye. This morning, I started the process of deleting all of my tweets. I got a service called Delete Tweet, and I set it upon erasing everything that's on Twitter. I'm that serious about it. And it's a shame, because I built up a pretty good audience there. But Blue Sky has two things going for it, major, and this is why I want everybody to think about this. One, it looks and feels like old Twitter. And you have a lot more moderating features on there that put stalkers, gawkers, and grotesque people at bay. You can shut down real conversations without this wink and a nod that they can still follow you around. That's way better already. The second thing is it is a decentralized social media system. Blue Sky is the overlap for all of it. It's like a skin over the top of it. And it gives you certain features, but it uses the Mastodon architecture, which a lot of people were talking about right when he bought Twitter, where your stuff is not, my data is now not sitting on Blue Sky. It sits on a myriad of Mastodon-based loose free servers everywhere, and then it scoops it all up later, and it has to have my permission to use it or pass it on. So it's way more complicated as far as the digital part of it, but it's also way easier to extract once you're done. So if somebody goes, Blue Sky just turned evil, with a flip of the switch, you can move all your shit to another skin. And it's, it's much more like a desktop, the kind of, remember when you, on Macs, when you used to be able, you could, and you still can, you could change the folders to look like other shit, and you could buy packs that would turn all of your icons into it would change all your folders into flowers, or you could change all your hard drives into tanks or whatever. You could just download this thing and it would skin over the entire thing and change the look of it. But it didn't change your files. It didn't change your hard drive. It just changed how you perceive the stuff that's on your hard drive in a minor-esque way, right? Themes in Windows, same deal. That's what Blue Sky ultimately is. It is a data access social media overlay. It is not a site in the traditional sense, the way Facebook and all these other things are, where it's a corral. And he has turned X, which, Twitter used to be an open field in theory, anybody on, anybody off, and then they'd narrow it a little bit, like we got to be able to put some moderation, to a pen, to a cell, to a slaughterhouse kill shoot. And right now that's what Twitter is. Twitter is a slaughterhouse kill shoot for ideas. The only thing my channel will be up for on there is to play this video when I do a live stream. But I'm not paying for anything. It's just going to post it so I can annoy them. But it's not going to, there's zero interaction. I'm not answering anybody. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not using DMs over there. I'm not any of that shit. And it's crucial. So anyways, there's my diatribe to start with.
Well, let me also, and at the end of the day, I really do believe that Elon Musk used his money and his power to literally steal an election. And, anything that I can do to be a thorn in his side, even if it means just getting rid of my Twitter page or X page, let the jackaloons stay on X. Let the daggone Trumpaloons, let the Elon Musk guys, let them stay on X. Yeah. And we go someplace else, because believe it or not, I am completely fine with cutting ties. And I had 165,000 followers on X. It's down to 155 now, because the moment the election ended, all of a sudden my numbers started dropping, and I was like, well, what's going on here? And of course, a lot of people have canceled their X accounts. And also a lot of those bots that we know was used to basically go on and argue with you on your posts. Those were nothing but bot farms that they shut down, and all those pages go away. So But
Yeah.
I'm definitely down with going someplace else that doesn't put anything in Elon Musk's pockets, because
Exactly.
it's horrific. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that Donald Trump wants to do, but one of the things that he said that he wants to do is he wants us to send men back to the moon and send men to Mars. And if you don't understand what that means, that means that because Donald Trump says it, that means our tax dollars are the ones that's going to pay for Elon Musk to do all of his stuff.
Yeah.
So the richest man in the world with $300 billion isn't going to have to worry about spending any money on going to Mars, because Donald Trump said it's going to be America's mission, and therefore we, the taxpayers, are going to pay for it all.
Right. Well, again, there is only even more reason why you should leave X is because that is the only private entity of Elon Musk's that is not kept afloat currently through government funds. Yeah. And by the way, it's not afloat at all. It's a farce. And the quicker people remove, there are two ways he makes money. Subscriptions, where people pay to be on there, and advertising revenue, which does not come from the sheer number of people on there, but the interaction that occurs. Okay, the people fighting back and forth. So even still, we've been, I've been very aware and even talked to some of the bots that are talking to me as bots, because it becomes abundantly clear. If you use ChatGPT like I do, or any of these, or my buddy Rob Glenn uses, it becomes, you can hear their accent. You can tell the accent. And even Grok has an accent if you listen to it for a while. And the posts start to look a lot alike. And sometimes its responses are identical to a bunch of stuff. So you can do a search on there and go, oh, it responded with this. And you go and do a search of that response, and you'll see that it shows up everywhere that this thing talks to somebody else and gets a similar response. It is that mechanical. So go ahead.
Also, I started thinking about this. Whenever you were posting stuff, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and they automatically, scream that you're lying, you're wrong. What I would do is I would go onto their page, because once again, I want to kind of see who this person is. And in many cases, and we're talking like literally real close to the election, they have 0 followers or 2 followers.
Or they just started a month ago.
Something that was just created specifically to come on here and throw stones.
Right. So that's the other thing too, is that and they were tweaking the moderation on X so that you couldn't avoid them. That was the key, right? They were making sure you had to see that shit. That's what the whole For You feed that overtook your follower feed or even the algorithm that you were used to. That's the first panel on X. That's not a mistake. That's on purpose. That's designed specifically so that you cannot avoid the bots and the messaging, so that they could shape the narrative going into this and downplay the narrative. I would also like to say that a vast, besides a few of the accounts on our side that had millions of followers, like Midas Touch, the networks where it's really hard to argue that they don't have that many because they have them on other sites. Folks about our level hit a glass ceiling with our reach on that site of about 150,000. That's as high as you're allowed to go. And they do it on purpose. If they can keep any more of us from rising up past that point, they will. Because if we all had, equal numbers of followers to the bigger accounts, to MSNBC and Midas Touch and the like, which there's no reason why we shouldn't be, since we're in the same kind of talk circle of it. Notice like Daily Wire and Charlie Kirk and stuff, they all have the same number of followers, right? Now they're a machine and they buy bots and they buy supporters. So we'll put that aside for a second. I get it. But at the very least, there should be closer to 300,000, 500,000, those kind of things. But there's an intentional, all the cries about suppression you hear on social media from the right, they count on Elon Musk to do it himself. The great thing about Blue Sky, and therefore any other Mastodon-based architecture social media site going forward, is they have no control over that part of it. They can't. And you can, and people can follow you elsewhere and still get your stuff through the exact same account. And it's it's just a different animal.
Well, and I can also say that, another reason that might be, if you want to remain on X, is to basically throw it in people's faces, because I'm going to tell you right now, when these people start to really feel this pain, and it's going to happen. And once again, Elon Musk is even saying, they're talking about how Donald Trump is, he's the man, he's the one. And now they're saying, hey, just want you guys to know there's going to be a period of pain in this that everybody's going to have to go through. And, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to, this is one of the reasons why I want to make sure I have the ability to reach out to some of these folks, because whenever they take overtime, and once again, this is what they've already talked about, when they take overtime, jobs like linemen that show up at the storms and all those jobs, frontier communication, the only reason why you want to work in those jobs is because they get great overtime. When that goes away, those jobs are not going to be fun jobs. And those people are going to feel a lot of daggone pain. And I kind of, I got into it last night with the pastor, because the pastor had the nerve. This is one of those seed philosophy pastors that believes, when he tells
prosperity gospel.
Oh, look at me. We have all this because God loves us. But once again, they want your money, not God's money. They want your money.
Right.
But had the nerve to say Kamala Harris's policies were steeped in satanic vibes.
Oh my God.
You stood in a pulpit and you promoted a rapist, a liar, a cheat, a sexual predator, a grifter, a racist, an Islamophobic, a homophobic. That's who you supported. And I'm going to tell you, I am really, really wanting to make sure that when it does blow up in their face, because I said, you voted for Barabbas. That's exactly what happened. Barabbas. Pontius Pilate looked at the people and said, who do you want to protect? And the crowd chose Barabbas instead of Jesus. And that's exactly what happened. The United States of America chose Barabbas. They chose the rapist. They chose the bad person over the good person. And that's where we're at. And I want to be the one to throw it right back in their face when this blows up. And I want to watch these very pastors try to daggone talk their way out of this garbage, because that's what they do. That's what they do.
Here's what I would say too, and I think this is crucial to how we talk about how we talk going forward, is that I still feel there needs to be a severance of all interaction on there, and that if those people want to come, when they have their day where they go, oh fuck, I was wrong, I want them screaming on Twitter to nobody but people who support Donald Trump, and none of us there to tell them I told you so. So they find their way out on their own. Anybody in that fuzzy zone can leave on their own. They can get the fuck out. I'm not going to be responsible for giving Elon Musk money just so that I can lead these people out of quicksand. Whoops, we dropped you for a second. He'll pop back up. I see you on this side, so give me 1 sec. There you go. So I'm going to be a bit of a purist about this, because I think it is crucial to the whole thing. I went against my better judgment in sticking with Twitter because of some of the people like Tara and others who were saying like they're going to hang in there forever. And I would get in there and stir the shit on occasion just to kind of do that. But I realized he makes money on that interaction. And if I'm the only real person of 5 accounts that I'm interacting with, even if I'm having a fun flame war with these assholes, they don't exist. And I'm responsible for the human traffic that happens on there that he can sell to advertisers and say, see, I still have people here. They're still there. And if the best thing we can do is turn that place into Truth Social. At one point, when the investor numbers come out spring of next year, it will be a draw between X and Truth Social. As far as real human interaction, bots versus reality. And he will effectively switch X over to go, I'm dropping the X.com is no longer going to be a part of a social media network. It's just going to be the carrier for Grok. And he trained Grok on his AI. He trained it on Twitter. It served its usefulness. Everybody left Twitter, and now that's all it has to be. And X will become xai.com, just like he had sort of, his plan was to turn that into an everything app. That was never going to happen anyways. But this is his fallback, and that's what he's going to do. Malcolm Nance. Malcolm Nance likes shit. He likes shit posting, and that's fine. But he should get out too. Everybody's got to go. And I'm going to be a hard ass about this because he makes money two ways: subscriptions and interaction. If you kill the interaction, the subscriptions will die naturally.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, believe me.
And it's not a boycott. We're not going back. We're not going back. So, yeah, other than that, I have no opinion. So, so if anybody on our side of things needs help, yourself included, Major, we'll talk after the show today if you want. I'll help you set it up so that you have what's effectively verified account on a verified account on Blue Sky, which just uses your website as so everybody knows it's really you. So right now on Blue Sky, I'm no longer halsparks.bsky.social. I'm just at halsparks.com. You will find, if you search my website name, you will also find my Blue Sky. And that's how it should work for everybody who's verified, who has their own website. And it's, and because you have to put code in it, you don't have to rely on, they can't turn it off once it's verified. They can't do anything about that. It's just your name. But people know that that's the essence of it. So I will help, like I said, I will help everybody. And the icon next to your name in Blue Sky shows how long you've been there. And so you will be able to, in future, for example, when they try to flood bots into the system, you'll go, there's a bunch of, remember when it was just all eggs? Remember when we went through the egg period? Okay, right? It's fucking, I'm being yelled at by eggs all day long. And the second version of that, because you could automate an icon, was to put, John 7429752 USA Go Super America Lovely Greenwood or whatever your fucking name was, and it looked, it was just automated, but it made it look like a name you put some thought into as far as the bot blockers went. This eliminates that as well. You can tell how long somebody has been on the site by what their site icon. Mine's a little sunrise because I'm relatively new to the site, just like everybody else is. It's a little sun. Right. That will shift over time the longer you have been there.
Well, I'll definitely, when we're done here, I'll definitely want to try to see what I can do to get this verified. But I just changed my name. It was Airborne, blah, 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 Sky. Yeah. Now I changed my name to, it just says Richard Ojeda, so that's good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they will be able to find you based on that stuff in there. The best is to link it to your website, and that will be what is the effective verification status for everything. Chris Hayes joined today, and his thing is chrishayes.bsky.social. By the end of the week, it'll be all in with chrishayes.msnbc.com, whatever their website is, so you'll know it's actually him.
Yeah.
And
I actually just went because it was just, if you look at my picture, it just said Airborne 1970 bsky.social, and then I went and did the edit profile and changed that to Richard Ojeda, and now it's Richard Ojeda.
Right. So it's let's see if I can get you in here. Let's see. I'm just gonna go with, I'm looking you up right now on here. Just
I'm following two. I'm following Blue Sky and Hal Sparks.
That's it. Good enough for me. All right. Well, then I'll just look on my followers and grab you in there because you'll be in the newest part of that. But we're gonna build this shit up. I'm telling you. It won't take as long as Threads. It's already doubled the traffic that Threads got in a year in a month. There you are. Followed you back just now. Ta-da! So, right. So this will be crucial. And again, you have more blocking features, all that shit. It is like old Twitter, and I will be doing stuff on there as well that is more social media oriented, like the old days with like hashtag games and shit like that, to balance out the fucking weight of who we're gonna have to deal with. Which brings me to Pete Hegseth. So you of all people, I wanted to discuss this fucking insanity. So for those that don't know, Trump is nominating for his SecDef one of the hosts from Fox and Friends. Now, Hegseth is a decorated Army officer. He fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, I believe, both. That's well and good. Thank him for his service. However, he has never run an organization with more than 4 people in his life. And the Pentagon is the largest employer in the federal government. It is the entirety of the military and stuff. Now, the DOD, the Pentagon, the chief, there's Joint Chiefs, all that. There's a lot of people who know how that shit works, and they will be able to dazzle him and keep him at bay for a lot of things. But the problem is, will he just be the guy? Is Hegseth just there? This is my worry about this. Just there so that when Homeland Security says we need troops to round up these people, he'll be the guy that says yes, even if it's just acting because they can't get him cleared. He'll be in there long enough to do it, and then they'll pat him on the back, send him on his way. Yeah, they tried to make you look like a racist, buddy, but you did the right thing, and send him back to Fox to get a nightly show.
At the end of the day, I mean, this is basically decapitating the leadership that we have in our military. When Donald Trump talks about getting rid of 400 generals, that's the continuity of our military. And the reason why Donald Trump is doing that is because Donald Trump knows that the current leaders of our military know that he is absolutely a buffoon and that he is dangerous. And that's what he's trying to do. And it's not going to go well if this is allowed to happen. I'm hoping that those meetings that took place at the Pentagon to prepare for Donald Trump's second term, I'm hoping that these people are ready to stand and fight and say point blank, we're not going to allow you to destroy our military over greed and hatred, because that's what this is. That is exactly what this is. And this guy here, he was a major. I was a major. He's was from the, I think, Minnesota National Guard. Let me tell you something. I can assure you that he does not have what it takes in terms of having the mentality of a Secretary of Defense to actually do the job. He's not there because he's qualified for the job. Donald Trump is not putting people in these positions because they're qualified. Donald Trump is putting people in these positions because they're bootlicking sycophants that will do exactly what Donald Trump wants. And that is what we are seeing. And all these, but that's okay. That's okay, because you know what? Everybody needs to know. I've already told all my family. Don't go crazy for Christmas. Don't go crazy for Christmas. You don't need to. I want to make sure that all the kids in our family, they're going to get their Christmas stuff. They're going to have smiles on their faces. But as far as like me, my kids buying me, don't do it. I want you to save your money, because there is going to come a time in the very near future where people are going to be in a world of hurt. These people think that the moment that Donald Trump takes that oath again, that the gas is going to drop all the way down to $1.80. It's not. Elon Musk is already saying that there's going to be a period of time that's going to be painful. What he's doing is he's basically trying to let America know and prepare for the fact that it's going to get ugly way before it gets better. And I don't think it's going to get better with these people. I think it's going to get ugly because they really don't give a shit about the future of average citizens in this country. They don't. And it's going to get tough. So, I'm telling people to hold on, but make no mistake about it. When you put these sycophants in positions of power, when you voted for Donald Trump, for whatever reason it was, but you watched them start the cages again and throwing kids in them again, just know you did that. That's my thing. I keep saying it. You voted for Barabbas, and now you're going to have to pay. Now we're all going to have to pay. But I'm hoping, and maybe you can shed some light on this, because once again, you're the most intelligent person that I talk to. But I'm also kind of telling people that hold what you got. Understand that they are not going to have a supermajority in the House or the Senate at all, all. And the House is still up for grabs. Now there's like 13 seats still up for grabs, and all of them are in California. But California isn't exactly 100% blue, so we'll have to see how that goes. But they're not going to have a huge supermajority here. And that will help keep Donald Trump at bay for anything that's going to require a 60-40 vote. They're going to have to meet the middle.
Here's the issue. Here's the issue that they have, too, is that he's pulled, by my count, he's talking about pulling, or has already said he's going to pull 4 people from the House. And they're not in hyper red districts. He's trying to, this is where he's playing both sides of the fence, but he's picking Republican congresspeople, not senators, but Republican congresspeople Did I lose you for a second? It's bouncing in and out. VDO's under attack, so that's not surprising. But he's pulling 4 people, probably more. Apparently, Mike Johnson sent a note to them like, "Stop doing that because you're going to endanger our majority." Because he's pulling people from. They're going to have a special election. Then what happens? Then all the people who went and fucking looked up, "Can I change my vote?" on Google, right? Those people are all going to show up, and we're going to have a very similar situation where you're like, "Oh shit!" Right before, January, right before, they end up losing the majority that they barely had by 1 vote, or Democrats, if we do get a majority of like 1 vote, end up adding 3 or whatever. That's what they're concerned about, and rightly so. The issue that they have too, because of that narrow majority and this illusion, you have 2 groups of people, it seems, around Trump right now. One who look at the red and say it's a landslide, not judging by the fact that where the population centers are, the volume of humans in this country, like all the grass apparently is red in this country, but all the buildings are blue. Like that's effectively what their map looks like. And to them, if you squint, it looks like America is solid red, right? When it's largely just geographically empty in a lot of those places, right? And so they know that. They're aware of that. And a lot of these crossover Republicans, which they call rhinos and the like, are just not in rock solid red districts that are going to let him get away with all this shit. They bought into some of it. Maybe even they bought in on a little more of it than they would have under normal circumstances, because they've been bullshitted into thinking that there's an invasion at the border and all that shit. Instead of encounters at the border being up, it's actual humans. And once they start brooming these fuckers, here's the problem they're going to have. They're going to run out of people to broom really quickly, because the number isn't 21 million. And he's not going to be able to say, yes, because the House and the Senate have to do oversight on the costs of the deportation plan. So how many people are you bussing? How many people are you flying? That's not enough flights and buses to take out 5 million people. Sounds more like, 800,000. What the fuck have you been lying about this whole time? And if it seems empty because you bounced like 6 refugee areas, like camps, like the one in New York that took over that one park, that and you'll have people like Springfield going, who's going to finish the infrastructure work that we have here? Like, well, we'll go to West Virginia and get some people. No, they're working on their shit there, right? They're going to wake up to that part of it, and we have no responsibility to do anything but point and laugh, because ultimately they're going to, once they wake up, it'll be up to them to change their mind. But I would like to say specifically that they think there's 2 groups. One that thinks it was a landslide, and the other that knows it wasn't. And I've been saying to our side for a long time, too, when we would talk in the House, there's this, when we had a narrow lead versus that you don't have a 60-40 majority, act like it. Act like, and Democrats tend to automatically. We get mad at our Democratic leaders for not acting like when we have the majority that we have a super majority, because that's what Republicans do. But it's why we pass bills and they don't. It's why we have an infrastructure bill and they don't. It's why we have an ACA and they don't. It's why we have the fucking rescue plan and they don't. The reason we actually pass bills is because we reckon with reality. We don't get out over and go, hey, fuck, we got the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Let's fucking write our ticket. That's what Republicans think we do. That's what Republicans do themselves, but it never results in any fucking bills at all. Nothing actually happens. On their side. That's why they're mad. That's why it was infrastructure week the whole time. Do you think that Donald Trump couldn't have taken the very infrastructure bill that Biden proposed and put forward and passed it during his presidency? Of course. But they would have had to do it with Democratic votes, and they would have had to give extra, credit and area to Republicans on their side, a little more pork to those folks. And they couldn't stomach it, so they just said, fuck it, because they didn't really care about it in the first place, and they don't believe it anyways, because they treat this country like renters, not people who have a mortgage in the fucking place. That's why. Yeah. And they can't pass shit without Democrats doing their homework.
Yeah, it's the same thing. If you think that Donald Trump is going to come back now and he's going to replace the Affordable Care Act.
Whoops. Oh, lost you for a second. Hold on. There you are. You're back.
If you think Donald Trump's going to replace the Affordable Care Act with something better, then you're part of the problem. You've fallen into this garbage.
Right.
I hope, because I've already lost hope that we're going to be able to get this back. I lost hope that Kamala's they're counting votes and all of a sudden it's going to show that, even though I believe that there was a lot of cheating that took place once again, the Democrats refuse to act like that. So they run real quick to the microphone and concede as soon as they can because it looks good. Right now there's a video that says Joe Biden and Donald Trump have agreed to a peaceful transition of power. Of course, Donald Trump will agree to a peaceful transfer of power. Well, as long as he's the one that's getting in power. I can guarantee you that had he lost this race, and I still believe that Elon Musk played a big role. I think lies and cheat, that's exactly what cost this. I can guarantee you he'd be prepping to storm the Capitol again. Guaranteed, because that's who he is. But, people better be careful. One of the things that I'm really, really scared of is the attack on education. Yeah. And let me read this for you because you understand this. And this is something I wrote down earlier because I saw it. Yeah. How to destroy a country. At the entrance gate of a university in South Africa, the following message was posted for contemplation. Destroying a nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by the students. Patients die at the hands of such doctors. Buildings collapse at the hands of such engineers. Money is lost at the hands of such economists and accountants. Humanity dies at the hands of such religious scholars. Justice is lost at the hands of such judges. The collapse of education is the collapse of a nation. And that is what they've been doing for the past 5 decades. And now we are realizing that we are seeing the fruits of their labor, where we have so many people out here that aren't even intelligent enough to do any basic research whatsoever. And they just blindly follow. And that's where we're at. And once again, I got into it last night with a pastor who promoted Donald Trump, had the gall to tell me Kamala Harris's policies are steep in satanic. Get the hell out of my face with that garbage. Right. you, the very person that says they tell you to send your money to the Lord, but they give you their address. It's those people right there. I mean, I am waiting, and I don't care. I'm waiting to be able to say, I told you so.
Yeah, well, here's my issue with this. I know that is actually coming. My issue with living in that kind of space for myself is the fact that the damage that this guy's going to do is going to be severe, and it will take a lot of little responses across the entire country from people who give a shit to counter it. One big action by Donald Trump can be countermanded, and you'll see this in health departments. If he undercuts the FDA and the CDC in their response to both things like avian flu and shit like that, and coordination, states will start coordinating amongst themselves. And if you think it has struck me that the guy there's a couple things. RFK Jr. is not going to be head of the FDA. He's going to be in an advisory position or given some kind of thing or whatever. They'll put somebody arguably worse in charge of the FDA who they can allege is not just a show pony. But whoever that is, and with RFK Jr. in tow, is more than likely going to oversee the worst E. coli outbreak in the history of the country since we've had the ability to fight it. That is the biggest concern for me. We will be completely unprepared for a bioweapon attack, completely pantsed, because these people will be against any measures to mitigate infectious disease. And so now that those people are in power, they are the perfect useful idiots for an outside force that would want to release a pathogen into the United States. So and that needs to be called out all the time. And because they will respond on a national defense level, and they'll go, nuh-uh. Well, then what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because that answer will also protect us from the normal outbreaks of pathogens that occur. They're going to have to there's a reason why those things overlap. So that's going to have to be a major news story going forward as he picks this person. I'm not going to get out over my skis until he picks the actual person, and then we go after that person and what they intend to do, as opposed to whoever the fuck he's floating. Some of these people he's not going to even be able to get through his own Republican Senate. Let's be clear. There's a very strong chance that there's a lot of, we thank Pete Hegseth for his service, but he's not the guy, right? We don't approve him for SecDef. And there'll be a lot of arguments about that. And leave that up to them. The reality is it'll be the little things all around the country that will start mattering again, which is why Elon Musk wants control of social media. It's why he wants everybody to stay on X so he can drive the conversation and keep the lies afloat. And that's why we have to decentralize that part of it and take care of ourselves. The irony is that states' rights will protect more lives this time under Trump. And it is the last fallback because they won't destroy those states' rights things because they allegedly believe it. When Massachusetts governor said, we're not going to let the DHS use our Border Patrol use our National Guard and our sheriffs to round people up, everybody's like, how dare they? I'm like, well, fuck you. That's the choice. That's how it's built. It's supposed to be that way. There's a bunch of areas where we wanted to go after right-wing militia groups who are planning terrorist activities, and you're slow rolling your sheriff departments about that. What's the difference? Except that those people want active damage, and immigrants, most of them are just filling jobs. That's what I would say is the moral difference between those two groups. So we are going to have to be more responsible for small acts of goodness, kindness, and protection over this next bit than ever before. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your local elections become more important than ever because your city might be the last fallback for a pathogen outbreak and the protection of the citizenry around you.
You know, you're spot on right, but it also breaks my heart because I during 2018 when the teacher strike took place in West Virginia, and I'm very proud to have fought that battle. And 9 days of fighting, we actually won. And it still to this day breaks my heart because we were already in the minority. They had a super majority. It was 23 to 12. Right. And we 12 stood with those teachers and those unions, and we won that fight. And the Republicans hated it. They hated it. But, I really believe that the people in West Virginia were finally waking up to the cruelty on the right. And it was cruel. Right. We'd go into these committee meetings and these Republicans would treat those teachers like garbage. And you started to think, you messed up because this is on video and you just basically started attacking people that are just here because they want to make sure our kids learn, to become adults. And every daggone one of my fellow senators that I served with were defeated. There's only 3 senators right now in West Virginia that are Democrats. It's a 31-3 right now. That means those 3 have no say in whatsoever. They don't get to push and pass any bills. They don't get spoken to in terms of let's sit down and try to come up with bipartisan because the Republicans don't need them. But all of these good legislators have now been defeated. And a lot of them were defeated by that kid that was the high school quarterback that drove around the town with the big old Ford F-1250 truck with Trump flags flying on it. And everybody voted for him because they were like, oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Well, now that good boy who can barely daggone read is now your representative. And the thing about it is these people, and in Southern West Virginia, still to this day, you receive votes on who can scream Trump the loudest. And let me tell you something, that's not going to go well for you. West Virginia is 50th in the country in education, and it's about to get a lot worse. The governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice, a atrocious human being. This guy lied to become the governor of West Virginia. And then as soon as he got in, he invited Donald Trump to Charleston, and then he stood on stage and changed his, from Democrat to Republican. He's been nothing but an absolute a shyster the entire time. But now he just won U.S. Senate. He's now going to be our next senator. He's taking Joe Manchin's seat. Right. But one of the things that he said to a couple of people that I know is he said, the only reason why the Republican legislation has not destroyed the teachers and school service personnel in West Virginia is because I have been protecting them. As much as I can't stand Jim Justice, he did spend a lot of time. He was a basketball coach to a local high school.
Right.
He spent a lot of time in the schools. Jim Justice, as much as I despise him, has been protecting the teachers and school service personnel. But he also told those people that the moment that I leave the governor's seat and I go to Washington, D.C., the Republican legislature is going to absolutely destroy the teachers and school service personnel. They're talking about a 40% hike in their private insurance. 50th out of 50th. 50th out of 50 in West Virginia. And they're about to break it off of those teachers. And those are the teachers. A lot of those teachers were the ones that said, well, I really like those guys, but I got to support my husband who's a coal miner. None of the Democrats was against coal, but that's what you chose. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of these Trumpaloons, a lot of these teacher Trumpaloons they're going to be bit real fast. Right.
I also think that there's a point where it's almost like when an addict detoxes, it's ugly. And there has been, the functional use of coal, for example, at the expense of renewables and the like, extended past its natural point. You stopped using for need and you started using for pleasure, effectively. Cheapening things, making that available, and kind of throwing caution to the wind, not quite literally in the case of the pollution caused by coal, but this idea like, well, it's cheap and we got the system here, so let's just keep digging it, even if we don't need it anymore, even if it's counterproductive, even if, because we're going to make more, there's nothing to visit here. I mean, it's very pretty, but there's a lot of pretty out there, and our hills are full of like crazed rednecks. So let's just, nobody's going to come vacationing here. There's no skiing. So it's better to the money we're going to get from coal mining is going to outweigh tourism or any other, if we're not going to start a university that has a great system around it that, I don't know, for its scientific development or a fucking rocket launch site, anytime soon. So this is all we got. So let's stick to it. And they stuck to it longer than they should. They were afraid to move away from it. Late 80s, early 90s, even into the 2000s, Donald Trump with his fucking clean coal bullshit allowed them to extend the nonsense on this a lot further. And then what happens? Once it's cut off, because we don't need it anymore. Let's be abundantly clear. We don't need coal anymore. Oil, gas, renewables, and nuclear are the folding way forward. Coal is in the rearview mirror, period. It's just a matter of time. Trump is not going to be able to salvage coal mining in West Virginia this time any more than he was last time. It's a loser. The only place you're going to sell it to is fucking China, maybe, right? Because they have a bunch of coal mines, but they flooded. And they don't know how to get the water out, so they have these giant coal lakes all over the country, poisoning the ground everywhere. Holy shit, that's another story. There are giant riots going on in China right now, just period, in the streets. There was a dude who drove his car through a crowd of people yesterday, killing 39, or a day before yesterday, killing 39 people and injuring 46 women, children, people just on a jogging track. And they call it murder season on the China show, but it's just getting worse and worse and worse. That collapse is coming. Well, they're the only people propping up Russia. Russia is hoping Donald Trump's America, will bail out Russia because China's failing behind them. It's a whole mess. He's walking into a fucking, that part of it, that realization, he's going to start his bullshit about, I walked into this mess. Remember when he said that about Obama? He's going to say that shit again. That's not my fault. This is a mess. Nope, dude, it's the world. This is the world we deal with. Just Democrats don't bitch about it. West Virginia is a lot like Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, all these, backwoods states that love Americana and the concept behind them. God love them for it. They love, the methodology and the symbology of Christianity, but not the actual message itself. They love the symbology of patriotism without the actual constitutional backup of it. This has been around for a long time. It's not surprising. West Virginia's problem is he can't solve their problem. He can't do it.
Oh, you're right. You're right. And I'm going to tell you this. This is the reason why Joe Manchin was always straddling the fence.
Yep.
He wasn't looking for bipartisanship. Joe Manchin was just trying to continue to extend the ability for him to continue to rake it in, because once again, his son owns coal mines, and him and his wife both receive a check every year from their shares of the coal in West Virginia. Yep. And like you said, you know what? I mean, I hate to think that I'm going to feel joy in saying, I told you so. I told you so. But you know what? At the end of the day, these are the very people that have caused things to stagnate, in West Virginia. The reason why West Virginia can't go anywhere, the reason why West Virginia can't get above 48th in anything that's good in this country is because they do it to themselves.
Well, it's the resource curse. Yeah, it's the resource curse. Remember, you've heard like Rachel Maddow talks about certain countries like Venezuela had the resource curse. There's a lot of states that, and Texas is the outlier in this, largely because of the Gulf and the need for shipping, and because stuff comes across the southern border. Ironically enough, it is the imports and exports that come in and out through the southern border, which Texas has the largest chunk of, that keep that economy from just being about oil. For the longest time, that's all it fucking was, desert and oil rigs. And the reason it blossomed is because all the trucks coming in and out of Mexico because of NAFTA and all the cars coming in and all that shit, that comes across the southern border. Well, if Donald Trump's going to seal up the fucking border, look at when Abbott tried it. What happened? Everybody in Texas cried uncle. They all freak the fuck out because they don't realize that, it operates sort of outside their periphery. They don't realize how much of their economy and their life is based on imports and exports from and through Mexico. And hey, man, I'm all for, as a Californian, fuck off. If you want to shut the southern border, you know what you're going to do? You're going to tie up traffic around San Diego of people wanting to go back and forth to Tijuana, maybe. But you're going to fuck Texas out of existence because everything's going to have to be shipped outside to North Carolina, South Carolina, and California. Everybody wants to bring shit in is going to have to avoid that area entirely because they can't drop it off. All the old ports are in Mexico. So you drop it off, they put it on a fucking truck, and the trucks drive into America. And that's why, like Louisiana, one of the only things that keeps it afloat is its ports. Well, guess what? They're about to, a bunch of Texas's money is going to go to Louisiana. The fuck do you think is going to happen then? You think Texas is going to take that lying down?
And also like the agriculture piece, I mean, and this is what really bothers me is that, you'll see ICE getting their numbers by going in and raiding a lot of these places after Donald Trump takes over. But make no mistake about it, they're not going to ever do anything to the owner of the company that's hiring those illegal immigrants to pick that stuff. We will never, ever see those billionaire corporation owners ever being held accountable for hiring immigrant, even illegal immigrant folks. But once again, it's going to be one of those I told you so moments. The moment that we allow white people, and let me say this here also. The moment we let white people pick our fruits and vegetables, you're going to pay $100 for a bag of oranges. Now, here's something that I do worry about. I do worry about the fact that Donald Trump and them have already said that homelessness is going to become a crime in this country.
Right.
And you will have two choices. You can choose to go to jail, or you can choose to go to a tent camp that they're going to establish. And I'm going to tell you the things that will go on at that tent camp. You're talking about people who absolutely
it's like shit from a sci-fi movie in the 80s.
Yeah, they had no problems throwing children in cages at the southern border. Make no mistake about it. If you think that they don't care about children, imagine how they don't care about the addicted and the homeless. And those people will be taken into tent cities. And I'm going to tell you that we won't see it at first, but there will come a time when we find out that that was literally like a mini Holocaust in those areas right there where people basically go to disappear.
Well, I mean, so he wants to bring back this. That is also part of the talk. Is he wants to bring back mental institutions as a place, the ones that Reagan got rid of. So, and again, I have for a long time pushed an approach from a Democratic standpoint of a three-pronged approach to homelessness. There are those people who've just fallen through the cracks and with a little bit of help can get back up. There are people who are drug addicted and have criminal backgrounds and other stuff. And those people need to be worked out as a different thing, because there's a big portion of sex offenders, for example, that can't find a place to live, and with good reason, but are let out of jail early because of our lax rules about sexual assault in a lot of these red states, where they're like, I don't know, is rape really a crime? So they release these folks, but they're on a national sex offender registry, so they move out to California and sleep on the beach 8 blocks from a school, and nobody does anything about it. There was a sweep in Chicago, 200 registered sex offenders in the homeless community underneath, like in the lower Wacker area in Chicago, just basically living under the city, like in and around it, and no real reason to handle it. That is another package. And then there are people who are mentally ill and cannot live on their own. And it is cruel and unusual to expect somebody with schizophrenia or extreme advanced bipolar disorder to figure out their shit on the street, or think a haircut and UBI will allow them to live in an apartment, when it absolutely won't. Homelessness is not a one-stop shop. And because they vilify homelessness as a one-stop shop on the right, we tend to defend it as a one-stop shop, that everybody's innocent and equal, and it's all the same problem, and people just need a shot at getting back up in. When in reality, you need somebody who can handle complex issues, going, we will bifurcate each of these issues out and handle them as they are, not as we would wish they would be, or how they vilify them. And when it comes to Donald Trump, they are just going to paint everybody with a broad brush. They're just going to go, anybody who's homeless and doesn't want to get inside a fucking, shelter and then get a goddamn job is going to jail or a mental institution out in the middle of fucking nowhere, which will be like, we will hear all these fucking stories like we heard in the 30s and 40s about these torture chambers and sexual assault on female prisoners and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff we got past because we as Democrats allowed them to set the terms of the conversation. Wow. Other than that, I have no opinion. But that is it. That is crucial. That is really crucial. And by the way, hold on one second. Pete Hegseth doesn't believe women should be fighting in combat or whatever. That's one of the reasons he was picked. Leslie in our chat was bringing that up. And it won't put an end to his nomination. It's one of the reasons he got it. There is a significant number of people, and again, this goes to that bridge group. There's a significant number of people who believe that women should not be in combat for traditional misogynistic reasons. But there's also a big group of them who believe that women are nurturing and men kill. And so killing is a natural thing that men can be trained to do, and it's unnatural to train a woman to do it. And the extrapolation is that a woman trained to do that will suffocate her kids. And so you don't do it. They believe that. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm telling you where that comes from. And there's a bunch of fuzzies in the middle that don't believe anything, that don't believe in centrist bipartisan ideas. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these mental ping pongs that fucking go, oh, what about that? Like fucking political goldfish are not centrists. Centrists are like, all right, what can we get done? Right? I don't like you, you don't like me, but what can we get done?
Yeah.
Right?
Wouldn't that be nice if that's how actually people in Washington, D.C. worked?
Right. And for a long time. So I appreciate you being on, brother. I want to remind everybody, what's your current schedule for live stream?
8:30 Eastern Standard Time every night. YouTube, Facebook. Ojeda Live.
There you go. For a half hour, right? You do your you do it like a straight up half hour. And on that, follow him on Blue Sky. I will add you to my starter kit that I'm building this afternoon. And I greatly appreciate it. And so thank you so much for coming on, brother. We will deal with this as they come, and we will need your Thune just got elected majority leader, Senate majority leader. Boy, the maggots are going to explode. They wanted Rick Scott. Thune is too centrist. They're going to be fucking pissed. Good. I mean,
I'm going to try to get the person who always connects me with the email. I'm going to try to get your phone number, because I'm going to start sending you some stuff, because I got plans, brother.
Excellent. Love that. Please do. Yeah, Andrea, you can pass it along. That'd be great. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you later, brother. Thank you.
Always
All right,
pleasure.
and there, yep, there it goes, ladies and gentlemen. The major. Now, I got to kill this graphic up here because I've updated it since. Where is it? There we go. Boink. Because my Blue Sky is now just at halsparks.com. You can just go on Blue Sky and you will find, here, I'll show it to you right now. See this? That's me. That's the real one. And it's real easy to know it's the real one because it's halsparks.com. Only I have that. I own halsparks.com. And therefore, I was able to effectively verify who I am on there. And I would recommend everybody from Muller, She Wrote, and all those crowds who have their Substack and they bought their URL for what they have, you know, whether it's MullerSheWrote.com or Bob Seska, all those guys, I want you, how do you cancel your X account? It's really easy, actually. You go in and it's under account settings, it just says account or whatever, and you can download, it's 2 menus in, but it says delete account. It's pretty straightforward. And like I said, I'm currently erasing all of my tweets on there just to gut those so they don't remain, so people can use them later to create false conversations, right? Artificial back and forth. You don't get to use my shit to bat it about, okay? So anyways, by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, and I'm Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks you'll ever Hal Sparks. That's why I have Hal Sparks and halsparks.com, and I'm Hal Sparksing. And the nice thing about how I do things is that, kids, I am out front in everything that I do. I don't have a secondary name for my shit. Even, I don't call it Megaworldwide with Hal Sparks. It's me. So everything I've ever said and everything that I've ever done online, I stand by. The only reason I'm removing my X posts is because fuck him. He doesn't get to train Grok on my shit after I leave. He doesn't get to use my tweets as spring points for false arguments that his bots create after I go. It doesn't work that way. Right? Deactivate does not mean delete. It's not quite the same thing. So you can deactivate your account. That effectively pauses it in stasis. What you want to do is go to just start erasing your tweets, or you can do it manually if you just want to, spend a couple days. Just do it. Just start clicking away. Just get rid of them. Or you can go to like deletetweet.com or any of there's a bunch of these services. 1 month of it is like $9, and just go in there and you can't find Ojeda on Blue Sky. I'll tell you what. I will post something from him right now. Let's go to, I think he might show up in there. There he is. This is his, yep. I think so. Is this his one? Richard Ojeda 2A. No, that's fake. That is not him. I don't think. Yeah, that's not him. This is a no. Because that's not the one I'm following. Hold on. See, this is why you use your name. This is why. Hold on here. We'll go into followers, and I'll show you this. And by the way, folks, if I don't follow you back, don't get mad. I'm trying to create packages first before I start getting into all that other stuff. There he is. His is Airborne 1970, right there. And so he changed his name up here, but it's airborne1970.bsky.social. He needs to link that because there's already a phony account. Okay? And he only follows me and Blue Sky, so that's we know that's him. So here I will do this. Hold on, I think we can message this or whatever. But either way, I'm going to. Does this allow me to post? No, that's a direct message. I haven't done it. I haven't done any direct messaging yet. But yeah, Airborne 1970 is his name on there. 15 million people on Blue Sky in the last little bit. It is the #1. There you go. The Onion. Orgasm. Pretty good. Whatever. The Onion is on there, which is, I think, a good sign. What do I do on here, and what is technology? There's a bunch of people who are reacting to this. It's yeah. Let's see. But I'm not crazy about calling posts on here skeets. Just looking up the word. No, who's calling it skeets? Nobody calls them skeets. They're just posts. Yeah. When seed help by Katie Porter. Because it was split multiple ways. Yeah. Still a Democrat. So we might end up with this majority after all. Boy, would that fucking... Wouldn't everybody breathe so much easier? Yeah. We'll go in here. Let's see the folks that we're following in this. But so far so good. And again, there's a lot of similarity between your experience on there and on here, or on Twitter and this place. So just there you go. And this is the spike in Twitter deactivation. Hold on. Look at this. Let me show you this. There's a bunch of them. These are deactivations, going through here up, days when they're high, when there's look at this right after the election. Fwink. Now, a bunch of that is fake accounts shutting down because they're no longer needed. Their job is done here. They can move along. It's Russian bullshit accounts, right? But here's the Threads and Blue Sky. Blue Sky is red. Threads is orange. It has stayed stable in all this. Look at this. Whoopink. Dropped a little bit in the in people adding it because people, again, these are daily visits, daily usage. The daily usage is way up here. And Threads has never peaked past this point. It's kind of in this zone. Now it'll come up a little bit, but now that there's a Threads feature on Blue Sky, which is you can create threads like you did on Twitter before, it works. Can't find where to delete. I'll post about it, right? If that helps. But there's a lot of things out there explaining it. I just want you to know. Why are there 3 decimals? Where? These things? These little guys? These are all the things you can do with a post. You can translate it. You can copy the entire text of the post. You can send it via direct message. You can copy the link to the post. You can embed the post somewhere else. You can mute the entire thread. You can mute words and tags specifically, so you can filter out bad language in it if you don't want to see it. You can hide the post in general, and you can report it. There's a lot more features available on Threads. I mean, on Blue Sky than there were on Twitter or Threads. Gotcha? I knew it would be a circus. I just knew there would be this many clowns. Well, yeah, okay. Q Fox attacking Blue Sky. It doesn't matter. They can attack it all they want. It's not a thing like Twitter is. It's based on the open architecture concept. So all they would be attacking is the mask, not the thing itself. Yeah. Blue Sky had a huge spike in July. The recent one is a little more believable. I think because a lot of people saw that it was going one. That was probably around where, the Biden issue was, whether he was going to step down and all that stuff, drove a lot of traffic to other places, and they didn't like Threads because it's clunky. Also, if you're on Instagram, you're on Threads anyway, so it doesn't take any work. Most people would use one or the or either or both, or they will overlap some of the details of Threads into Instagram eventually. Doesn't matter. But Blue Sky is its own thing, and if you want to do a separate thing that is not under Musk or under Zuckerberg, that would be the place to do it. And again, and I try to make this clear, and I'm sorry if this wasn't clear to Tara, and I'm trying to that. She's like, yeah, but if the threats come and they start threatening you on there and they can threaten you. First of all, you have better tools to shut down the threats and the shitty bullying language on Blue Sky than you have on Threads even. But, put this up here. Not only do you have better, they're more ubiquitous tools for dealing with that. Not only do you have that, but anyone who comes off of X to take the piss out of somebody on Blue Sky or anywhere else for that matter, even if they go to Facebook, is interaction that is not happening on X, and that is good. It's a loss for them if they have to withdraw from X to come take a shot at me. And that's why I'm glad if they come do it. By the way, trolls, please feel free. Follow me on Blue Sky. Give it a shot. Come on. Walk your dumb ass over here. Because on the one hand, I will be looking forward to being able to bounce and trounce you if you're a bigot, easier than it was to do on X. And on the other hand, I don't mind arguing with people, obviously. And of course, the bigger one being is that is money. Those are, one nickel and dime at a time that you are taking out of Elon Musk's pocket. And I'm cool with that too. Yeah? You feel me? You hear me? That's why I'm Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks than it ever is Hal Sparks in the history of Hal Sparksing. And like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc. This is Hal Sparks Mornings, Mega Worldwide. Now, Philip couldn't be here today because he's traveling. And yeah, thank you. The real address for the major is, there we go. I'll copy that and then I'll make a text. Is it? Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'll where's my text business? Boink. Major BSKY. That'll work. Okay. And then I'll put this in here and I'll paste. And ooh, that's big. And then I will select the font and I will shrink it down to something reasonable like this. Yep, Arial Black works better. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. Okay, so this is, for those of you who don't know, that's the majors. If you want to follow the major right now on Blue Sky, that's what you'd look for. Airborne 1970 bsky.social. That's, if you put in Airborne 1970, it'll pop right up. What we'll get him to do is get either Turn Left Pack to be the main one, or if he's got, majorojetta.com, he can use that one, okay? That's it right there. Mine is just halsparks.com. You can find me with just halsparks.com, and I'm the only one. I should probably put, like in my, because I've just done this profile thing, and I'll bring you back in, chat, so you guys can talk about this and I can see what works for you guys. These are the material things we can do on the ground, and one of them is, we don't have to, like, I'm not asking people to boycott Twitter. I'm asking them to leave. Boycott is kind of under the idea that, like, we're not going to eat oranges until they treat their workers better. And then once they treat their oranges better, their workers better, we'll treat their oranges better. Yeah. Once they treat their workers better, we'll go back to eating oranges. We're not going back. If anything, if that phrase applies to anything right now, it's Twitter. Goodbye. Get the fuck out. And this applies to our dear friend Malcolm Nance, and I will debate this with anybody. And Destiny and his buddy who do the spaces where they argue with maggots over there for a show, like, that has value as long as they're not giving, any more content to the site itself, using spaces to make content elsewhere. But besides that, get the fuck out. I would argue my hard line would be stop entirely. No spaces, no nothing. Just get the fuck out. There should not be like a single Democrat or a single legitimate media source posting on there anymore. And because in the Blue Sky setup, it's kind of like having your own personal website. Ultimately, it's way easier to move your shit once you get out. Okay? So I would recommend anybody who does that kind of, if you do that kind of social networking where you like little blurb posts and you like cat videos and you like information and finding news sources and all that shit, make a big stink about moving to Blue Sky and do it. Your last tweet should be "See ya at BSKY." Okay. Again, and we have to I'm giving everybody the by Thanksgiving date. Get out. Even advertisers, even like big media sources. Who the fuck are you talking to but a sea of bots? It's garbage. You have been tricked. You are talking to no one. And you certainly are not talking to anybody who buys your product. Maybe, just maybe, one of the reasons why there's been a spiral down in support and viewership for certain media outlets is because they have been chasing an audience that doesn't exist. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's something to be aware of. Yes? Okay. I'm going to get to some news this morning and some trending stuff because, I will show you this. So we used to do trends in the morning show, and I've got to kind of miss it. And I think it's in the Discover feed, which is trending content from the people you follow. That's the primary feed that you'll see. And you can have multiple feeds across multiple things, then they don't have to interact. They don't have to crisscross if you don't want them to, because it's up to you. Instead of a for you thing, you create the for you stuff. And if other people create a good one that you like, you can subscribe to it. And if you you can't unsubscribe from the Twitter for you thing. You can't make it go away. It just is always there. You can click on the other one, but it defaults to it and it makes you see it. On Blue Sky, there are... this is a feed. This is Blue Sky's Discover one. And it is designed, this is how it works. It is designed based on an algorithm that just goes, okay, here's who you follow actively, and here's people that they follow, and what their most recent posts are. What they're up posting, what they're talking about. So it's not surprising that I have JoJo from Jers in there. And we just figured out for her, we showed her today how to post her YouTube videos. Everybody was like, YouTube, just put a YouTube video on. Don't worry about it. The other thing, too, is there was this thing about Twitter where some people would post their videos on Twitter and house them on there. And to do that, you'd have to pay for the service. That was part of it. You don't have to do that on any of the other sites. You don't. And hers is simply JoJo from Jers. .bsky.social. We'll fix her too so that she gets her jojofromjers.com or whatever she uses and have that be the her primary, so we know it's her. Although that's pretty on the nose. As long as they get them right away, you should be okay, right? But anybody who's got their own URL should automatically do the sidecar verification is effectively how it works. Okay, so when you would post stuff on Twitter, if you wanted to do videos there, you had to subscribe to the service or use a limited amount. And now all you got to do is post your shit on YouTube, which is free and whatever, and then you post it on your site. And if you have ad rev eventually built on, then you get the ad rev, not Elon Musk. You feel me? If there's an ad that runs before her site because you're not a subscriber on YouTube, or you don't have you don't have YouTube Red or any of that shit, in theory she gets the ad rev, not Musk, who would get the ad rev from allowing the videos on that other people watch because it surrounds it, puts ads in your feed and all that kind of stuff, which you don't see a dime of. Can you get monetized through that? Yes, you can do the same thing with TikTok. Is it evil? Yes, so I'm not doing it. That's why I'm only on here. Who owns YouTube? Google does. And Google is a publicly traded company. X is not. It's a huge difference. It's, there's a difference between mass profitability to whoever owns stock in something and what is it? The Saudi royal family, Elon Musk, and Sean Combs making money off you. Do you see the difference? Right? Am I trying to wean myself off of social media? I already don't go to Twitter or three other domains. Is AOL still around? Yes, you could still have an AOL address. But I'm going to keep this until the major switches his over, which he'll probably do. And Andrea, give him my number so that I can, I can talk with him about, anything that I can do to help with this stuff. And I'm going to continue. This is my cause celeb right now. This is how I think decentralized social media network stuff will be increasingly helpful, because no particular site will own your data. And if you ever decide they suck, you'll be able to move your shit without having to do what I'm doing on Twitter, which is download all my stuff so that I've got it on a hard drive. It was 9 gigabytes of shit that I'd put on compressed. It was a 9 gigabyte zip file, all the shit that I had put on Twitter over the years. I downloaded that. I now have it. It is mine. And there's a little like HTML file that comes with it that allows you to look at your tweets if you want to scroll back through them and search through them by word and all that stuff like a document. You can do that. I'm going to load it into an AI and parse it out for myself and make basically an online bot that dicks with Trump using all of my stuff. I could train my own AI on my own Twitter feed, see if I like me. But that's, I'm doing that. I'm weird like that. That's going to happen. But in the meantime, get the fuck off. Pain in the ass, Housemark, 12 gigabytes for you. You tweeted a lot. I guess so, Francie. Holy shit. That's amazing. Did he just name Christmas party planner for the White House? Yeah, I don't doubt it. Talk about it's not a Midwest goodbye. I have a whole other hour. My show goes till 11. It's just Phil can't be here today, so I'm talking to you guys. Yeah, you could capture Elon Musk's X jump. I don't care. Yeah, it's silly. Why are the handles so long? I'll tell you why. That's a good question. Rob says, why are the handles so long on Blue Sky? Okay, because they're not handles. That, technically speaking, handle's what you're called. The other one is your address for whatever you are. On what you're added. Your at is not your handle necessarily. This would be your handle, the name. Jojo from Jersey is her handle. The address, which is what this is. This is an address for your account. Is just like an email address. It's much closer to the function of that. But the nice thing about an email address is that you can move about all you want using that email address. And if you want to block somebody from it, you can, and all this stuff. It's got much more of the function that has to do with your ability to, all the things you can do, blocking people, that send you emails or getting yourself off of lists and all that stuff is more functional with an email address. This is based closer on that kind of architecture. The reason it says .social is because there's a social network built on the Mastodon architecture, which is the software that drives all of this. And there's subs that are below this that define what they're for. It could be bsky.research, bsky.team, all that kind of stuff. It's almost like an email address that they can all talk at. The one we're going to operate on for all this is the .social one because it's a social network. But there's also a bsky.whatever that they use internally or externally that you either have to be a member of or become a part of the, I think there is even a bsky.team that might be their legit one. Let's see. So yeah, Blue Sky Team right here. So theirs is bsky.app. See that? Because that's the official one. There's also, this is the team. Yeah. So they have safety.bsky.app. See that? That's their address for the Blue Sky Safety Team. Okay? Which is a great follow, by the way. It's just useful. And I would recommend following Blue Sky, the app, because it's really about the functional use of the space. There is definitely someone running it as a person or a team of people. They're very well just maybe an app or an AI running it at some point, but effectively it is trained on all this shit. There's a bunch of stuff. This thing's going to be 30 million by next week. Just count on it. It's starting to steamroll. And this one, like, hello, Blue Sky. Hello and welcome to the 1 million people that joined Blue Sky in the last week. the girl that didn't expect to win, like GIF. And it is the #1 free social media app above Threads, ChatGPT, Google, Temu, and TikTok, which are these other two, which are artificially propped up. So there's a huge drop off after Google, just letting you know. And Google has a lot to do with the fact that Gemini is growing. We'll talk about that on Friday. That's their AI. Yeah, 500,000 new people in the last day. Like, this is what's happening everywhere. And it's a lot like old Twitter, and it won't change your life as far as your experience. It feels very similar, but you can tell Twitter to go fuck off. Look, we'll follow Jamie Lee Curtis. That's lovely. And most of these accounts, okay, so the other thing, how do trends work? Here's the trends. Okay, trends are called feeds in this because there's it'll be the trending stuff under topic, okay? So if you go to mutuals, anybody you follow that follows you back, it will put posts from them. Mutuals is just kind of like, if you want to see what your inside circle looks like, you just add that to the top, you click top, and what you'll see when you go to your home page is up across the top, you'll see Discover. The first ones you'll see are Discover and Following. The Blue Sky team is one of the ones I have up here, and then this is mutuals. I just put this. These are the people that I'm following and that are following me back. Okay, so I'm following Cliff, and Bob is following me back, and Kim is following me back, and Richard's following me back. So I'll see mostly those guys. Relatively new to this, but I'll see what they're posting, and they'll see what I'm posting in the mutual thing. Anybody you co-follow, you'll see what they're doing in this. It's the tight circle versus the broad circle. Okay, so mutuals would be, for most people, that would be your primary. This is your real social network. Okay. And then if you go up to this little pound sign, these are all the feeds, and you can discover ones and follow topics that you want. There's Black Sky, which is like Black Twitter effectively, for Black Blue Sky, right? There's a new one, headlines from verified news organizations maintained by this particular person. Now, you can go look at this list, and you don't have to pin it. And you have to go, oh, this is Financial Times, The Intercept, Press Gazette. They're just covering anybody that's a verified actual organization. The South African, there aren't that many. Bloomberg's on here. The Onion. The South African just went straight in on this. New York Times is there. The Verge. New York Times. Queer AF is a verified organization as well. States Newsroom. Verge, The Conversation UK. I suppose The Guardian will be in here somewhere if they've updated it. This is the hyperallergic team or whatever. This is an actual thing. And so effectively, this is just one of the many feeds you could follow. Somebody else makes it though. So these are not like, they're not made by what would effectively be the Twitter team or something like that, if that makes sense. Okay. They're made by users. Japanese cluster, feed of all posts from authors in the Japanese language cluster. Brazil supercluster. If you speak Portuguese or Japanese, you could follow in there. What's hot? The original What's hot experience from and they do this themselves. So what's kind of popping right now would be the idea. And a lot of it is everybody moving. Student going to Toronto this weekend made me this friendship bracelet. That's hilarious. So you'll see a lot of the people who are big on Twitter are moving over here, and that will be the news on this particular site for a little while. If that makes sense to everybody. Is this helping you guys? By the way, chat, let me jump in. There's a lot of parallels, and it's pretty well done. It's pretty, it's pretty easy to figure out. Once there's even a cat pics one, you can follow a feed of nothing but cat pics. Gardening, birds, Book Sky, which is like a feed for people who like reading. Game dev, which is all people coding and that kind of stuff. Astronomy. Only posts, which is just people that post. It sounds like OnlyFans, but it's people that only post words. They don't reply or do anything. I don't know what the fuck for, but okay. Let's see. What's the yeah? There's a disability one. There's a Ukrainian one. There's and you can make your own. So there's a lot. You'll have to and you'll be they're searchable. Pretty great. Academic Sky, which is people who are studying. New Skies, which is all new users. And yeah, so ballpark. You're following cat pics, excellent. Yes, gardening, all that stuff. Lincoln Project, cool. And by the way, if you're following these people and you're jumping on because of my show, let them know. Share the love. Let them know why you found them and how you found them. Let them know I brought you there. It really will help. Because I have been doing, the other thing I've been doing, and you guys saw this when I was doing a lot of Twitch raids, is that I noticed there was, but for two people, which I would argue is, and Johnny Million kind of is in his own category. So one person, which I think it was only on things when it timed out, was Tony Michaels, is that none of it was reciprocal. I dumped people into Midas Touch's Twitch feed, or their Twitch chat, by the hundreds when they had 65 people in there and never saw any action come back my way. And I didn't want to be a dick about it and go, we do Sparks raid or whatever. But I never hit them up and said, hey, you guys think you could, raid my shit occasionally or any of that stuff, right? Good question, Grumpy Cat. Hey, what prevents disinformation from appearing on Blue Sky? Nothing, except you. You have more tools to get rid of that disinformation using Blue Sky than you have ever had before, by account and by content. And other people have a way of setting up feeds that can warn you about it. Disinformation will occur everywhere. It's about what tools you have to combat it. And there are more tools to combat it quite quickly under Blue Sky than any other site that I've seen. That includes Facebook. That includes Instagram. It has the best tool set for getting rid of shit posters and awful people and bigots and stuff that you've ever seen. That, I think, is like reason enough. But at this point, I was very deferential again, like I said, to a lot of these bigger sites because some of them had been around longer than my station, and I'm I don't like bullying my way to the front of the line. But let me tell you something. I have no interest in hiding my candle under a bushel anymore in this regard. So if you sign up and you found somebody, or you signed up on Blue Sky because of this, because of what I'm saying, I'm not asking for a dunk. I'm just asking for a referral. Hey, Hal Sparks, let me know that you were on here and I followed you because he told me to, or showed me how to do it. That's all I ask. It's pretty simple. Because I'm definitely a mover behind the scenes. It's time I become one in front of the scenes. If that makes sense. It's the only way I'm going to get to the bigger subscriber numbers is if I'm a little bolder with this. Hence, this is Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of all live streams, and I'm Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks you'll ever meet in the Hal story of Hal Sparkses. So, honestly, that's super crucial, and it would really help. Name drop the shit out of halsparks.com on Blue Sky if you're joining, and let the Blue Sky app people know it. You just go, hey, Blue Sky, I'm here because Hal Sparks told me about this, and drop my my name in that, right? My account name in that, if you would. I don't make money off of it. By the way, I also want to be clear about this. I'm not making money off this. There's no referral program. Not a dime. I'm doing this because I think it's legitimately good. And anything we can do to undermine the free money bucket that Elon Musk has fallen into, we have to do it. How do I think Chink and Anna are on here? I don't care. If they are, I will block them. They have been part of the conversation for far too long, and they do nothing but damage. Done. Not interested. I will talk to anybody with legitimate legislative and intellectual concerns that want to move the ball forward, actual progress. But anybody who just calls them a progressive, themselves a progressive, and undermines progress at every fucking turn is no different than Mike Pillow's cross. These people are progressives like Mike Pillow is a Christian. Fuck off. And I know some people go, hell, that's just your opinion. Exactly. It's my show. It's my opinion. That's what this place is for. And you're welcome to disagree with my opinion, but know that it is mine. Yes. This is my opinion. This is my pun. One is for fighting and one is for fun. And I have always said, oh, thanks, Lady K. I'm glad you're from Midas Touch Network, but I have to say, like, I definitely have felt stiff-armed by that crowd the entirety of the existence of my channel. And enough already. Fuck off with this nonsense. I can't be like the person everybody goes to figure out how policy works and stuff like that, and then they go off and tell their viewers on the side, and then I get no credit for it. That's not helpful. Not helpful. So it ends now. Okay, this is my line I'm drawing in the sand. If we can borrow anything from Trump's win, it's that my whole thing about humble kills. I apologize for hip pocketing my own channel by being deferential and sweet. No more. Fuck that. And the nice thing is, I can be loud and obnoxious and funny and sweet at the same time. Some people, that's just a binary choice for them, not me. Sparkle 3000, I love that. I love you 3000. Yes, and memberships help, all that kind of stuff. Everybody who's left those other channels and you're like, I was a member at one of those channels and I can't do it anymore. If you're here, become a member of my channel. Help me out. Because I feel like if my voice had a little more reach, because I do have a difference of opinion about how we speak. And how we speak and the messaging of it is more important than ever. Yeah. Yeah. But and again, I make no money from people moving to Blue Sky. None, not a dime, not ever, not at all. Some people make money keeping you on X. Do you understand that? Do you understand that even some of our deeply liberal friends, allegedly deeply liberal friends, I guess, make money on X because they have a profit sharing thing with their posts and their engagement, and he's done this on purpose. I never engaged in that program, though there was money to be made because I felt it was wrong. Okay? Even Hassan disagrees with Chink and Anna. They're all assholes. Hassan's an asshole. He's as responsible for the backward steps as anybody else, if not more so. The dude platformed a Houthi guy who bragged about dancing with hostages, the Chinese hostages. Get the fuck out of here. No. I get it that some people don't like my hardline sometimes, but tough shit. At a certain point, you want to talk about the illusion of squishy versus real squishy? That's real squishy. That, like, morally vacuous horseshit. How about this? 0 terrorists. 0 murder. 0 rapists. 0. You get me? Done. There's 8 million. It's like, fuck. There's how many people on Blue Sky or Facebook? There's like 200 million people, real people, on all these social media networks you could talk to, and you're talking to the same 9 fucking people, many of whom are believe in criminality as a force for good. No. Not me, not here. Now, if you like that stuff and you want to go see some of that stuff, nothing's stopping you. It doesn't keep you from being a member of this channel and a member of that channel. But it's not going to happen here. There's too many good people out there. There's too many good souls, smart people, caring people. And I would rather talk to them. So, there you go. It's funny how some people, and maybe this is the lesson I need to learn from this. Some people have created a situation where it seems like everybody has to talk about them. I've never been one of those people. I've never wanted to be one of those people. There may be an element where in this day and age, you have to be one of those people. And if that's the case, then that's what I will do. But not because my ego needs it or I'd have done it already. I mean, those of you that were with me from the beginning of this live stream when we had we were bucking for 50 people in here, you got to know that I was like, we got to get our numbers up because I got to make a living if I'm going to do this on the regular. But it wasn't because, and even the ego-oriented stuff that I'm doing, while it works as a promotional thing, isn't based on neediness or my desire for it. It's just simply that the significance of the messenger and should align with the significance of the message. And I think my message is very significant. If that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is introduce you guys to some new people. How about that? Sound like a good idea? And again, I'm not hostile to everybody on our side of the media sphere. That's not it at all. But I do believe that there are those out there that haven't gotten a shot. That's why I like having Boston Brian on my radio show, and it's why I like having Texas Paul on. It's why I like having the Major on. We got to start bullying some of the folks, and Tara, bullying some of the folks that have been kind of sidelined. Yeah? And so, that'll be what I can do. Because if I can do anything, it's fucking drag rocks up a hill. That's honest to God. That's my whole fucking life. You can't do it. You're going to fail. It's not going to work. You'll never get there. And here I am. So, wah fucking law, kids. Yeah, we need liberals with attitude. I've been here the whole time, and I'm not apologetic about it, and I'm also not squeamish, okay? I don't have issues with strong language or and I don't mind pushing back against stuff that I think is not helpful. Right? And that's not going to change. And it's okay if some people don't like it. I'm giving you permission to hate some of my shit. I'm not even going to call you bad for doing it. But I will disagree. I will disrespectfully disagree. Okay? Because you guys know, my motto, care enough not to give a shit. You have to care about what you're doing so much that you don't give a shit if people don't like it particularly. If you believe in it and it's right, I don't judge how right or wrong I am by how many people support what I'm saying. You understand? I believe in consensus when we're going to act on something, but if I'm talking about a belief or a concept or an idea, I will present that to you with all the belief and all the depth of my belief that I possibly can. And I gotta admit, in the early part of the show for a couple of years, as saucy as I get towards Trump, I have been tiptoeing around our own side about some of this languaging, and it fucked us into a cocked hat. And again, all shenanigans aside, fine, go for it. I hope you're right. But if there is a reachable audience that we lost because we did not reach them, and it had to do with how we talked about stuff, that that is my responsibility. That's something I can do. Okay? Folks, check out how much, how yeah, I'm okay with that. Because again, I've told this story before, but it kind of informs my experience with good people on my side. I did some work for Project Angel Food back when I was working with Marianne Williamson, and one of the things that I did was, while other people were they needed a new kitchen, they needed to rebuild the kitchen, and of the volunteers, I was the only one with any kind of like construction experience, because my dad's an architect and that's what I did summers or whatever. And they were like, we have a new sink, we need it installed. And I was like, okay. And the water was turned off the building, so I didn't have to worry about too much. It was mainly just installation. And they were like, okay, if you want to do it, that's great. And so I went in, thinking, okay, it's fine. I'll take this out and we'll just kind of install it. And when I opened it up, when I opened the cabinet up, the water that had been leaking for years in food and stuff in this old church that they had gotten, that they were converting into the place, had rotted the wood underneath it, and it was like borderline black mold. It was nasty. It was just soaking wet. You could literally claw the wood out with your fingers. It was that. And I was like, how the fuck did they live with this the way it was like this for as long as they did? Okay. And I was like, well, the first thing I'm going to have to do now is fix the fucking floor underneath the thing. So I don't know, somebody standing here washing dishes doesn't fall through the ground. So I get out a bandsaw and I'm cleaning out all this stuff. And the first thing I had to do was scrape out all this dead, rotten wood, which was soaking wet. And like, I'm wearing like dishwashing gloves because they didn't have any of the other stuff. The next couple days I came back with my own gear from home, because I thought they would have the stuff and they did not. And so over the next few days, I was able to use more of my own shit. But I got in there and I literally was like clawing this gunk out onto we took garbage bags and laid them out flat, and I could put it on that, and then I would roll it up in the garbage bags and put that in the trash so I could save as much of the water and nastiness as I could. And then I had to saw out the wood underneath it, replace it with plywood that was treated for a floor, God knows, whatever. Anyways, so I'm down under there though, and I'm scraping this shit out. It's gross. It stinks. And I'm a volunteer. And I don't have a fucking, I don't have goggles or a fucking nose cover. I don't even have that shit that Clarice Starling put under her nose, the menthol to cover the smell of a corpse that they used or whatever. I'm just cleaning this out. And my friend Dan, who was with me volunteering, and he was doing some other stuff or whatever, he sees one of the guys who runs the place, who's coordinating everything, standing like 8 feet behind me, basically watching me crawling around under this thing and cleaning this shit out. And he doesn't know Dan is my friend. And he turns to Dan and he goes, "Would you look at the mess he is making?" And thank God Dan didn't tell me until 2 days later. Because at that point, it was so gross, I probably would have decked the guy. That guy, though, was the guy asking me to do it. That guy was the guy who had nobody else to do it. That was the guy who was like, "Can anybody please fix this?" And I was like, "Yep, I'll do it." And the job was fucking way worse than what they had, like, were telling everybody. The fucking nerve of this dude. Look at this mess he is making. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? I'm going to make a mess. That's the kind of mess I make. I make the mess that fixes broken shit. And sometimes you're going to go, that stinks. And you're going to be right, because it does. Because there's a lot of rot. and I am going to fix the rot. Okay? I got a long way to go before I run for president in 2028 as the first Zaphod Beeblebrox like leader of America. And they're like, what if we even don't? Will we even have a democracy? Won't matter. If we don't, then the aliens will promote me to president on your behalf. The AI will choose me because I'm just that awesome. But the point is, between now and then, I'm going to start speaking frankly about, how we need to be speaking. And I'm not going to allow purists and people who don't give a rat fuck about actual progress, these hashtag faux-gressive dickheads, to start boxing people back into the exact same boxes in the first place. Who would be my running mate? I've often thought it should be my cousin, who's a U.S. Marshal. He and I could not differ more on a lot of politics, and we argue them, but I love him and I trust him. That's just off the top of my head. God knows what will happen in the next 4 years, right? There's a lot of crazy. Yeah, Sparks Ojeda. There you go. But I got to tell you, like, this is going to be a crucial part of what I do here. And the great thing is, just like Blue Sky, it doesn't cost you a dime to hear it ultimately. If you want to support the show, you can, and I appreciate it. Our Patreon people, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being there. The members, Super Chat, all that stuff is how I keep this show on the air, and it will be the way I grow it. It's the only way I grow it. Because of, Patreon and because of Super Chats, we have been able to actually, like, pay a couple of the people, the moderators that work with us, the content helpers, a little bit of something so we can start doing that, right? Build on that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep at it. And any of the fuck you, I'm mad crowd, you're welcome to hang out or piss off. That's how this all works. But if anybody thinks I'm going to, like, worry or cower in the face of this authoritarian, pseudo-neo Stalinist regime that they're apparently putting on, and that they're going to, dust me off for talking back, if that's the reality, then that's how it's got to play out. I don't care. Fuck you. Not changing how I talk about this stuff. And the stuff I'm saying didn't become wrong just because I was outvoted by a bunch of nudniks who don't know what a tariff is, or think that Biden got rid of abortion, and by the way, largely think both of those things because of folks that are allegedly on our side of the aisle, either slow walking that conversation or sidestepping it for some bullshit like maybe the Genocide Joe crowd has a point. Fuck you. You have doomed a myriad of people to an early death because of your silly pussyfooting around this nonsense, and I won't stand for it. Yeah, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Fucking A right. Yeah, John Thune's the Senate leader. We'll at least get some. Hey, look at the bright side. On my regular afternoon show, we'll at least get some people that are some flip out videos now. Not Thune, fuck, right? And then they lose the House. Then what happens? The deep state is coming for them, right? And by the way, it won't matter. It really won't. It will not matter if Trump gets the House, the Senate, and what he's doing, because he will not be able to get everything he wants done, because it will mean overriding the states, and even the red states know this, and the vast majority of the undocumented workers in this country are in red states. And so if the next president can have a legal justification for declaring an emergency based on their own whim, and they can take your National Guard and commandeer your cops for it, that's a slippery fucking slope. I don't want to hear anything from these like, the government wants to put a chip in your head. Like, motherfucker, You just let Elon Musk be your sidecar president, and he wants to chip 2 billion people. You know how I know? Is it because a CIA paper leaked about the possibility? Is it because of UFOs, kiddo? No, it's because he said so. You dumb motherfucker. It's because he said so. And he's not kidding. So I gotta say, if people were, if you're tired of the tiptoe and you appreciate what I've been saying, and you're as mad as I am that that our side of the aisle helped fuck up my being right score, I would love to have Politics Girl on my show. Absolutely. And by the way, I believe she's on Blue Sky. I'm only going to have people on if they're on Blue Sky. They don't have to leave X yet. I'm not ready to set that level of standard for other people's behavior, but I will only have them on going forward if they are on Blue Sky or Threads, if they are primarily posting someplace else. A boy's got to have standards. So on that note, I love you guys. I will see you guys later this afternoon. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And if you get on any of these sites and you have found these sites or you have heard things, please start tagging me and stuff and giving me credit for those kind of things, because I really do feel like I've been stiff-armed long enough. Why were you wrong about this? Why was I wrong? I'll tell you why. Because I bit my lip on certain aspects of how we talk about race and trans issues and women's rights issues on here that were exclusive. They excluded people from the conversation. And that was a loss for us. The other thing is that I don't exactly have my thumb on the pulse of the Latino vote in the United States, nor would I. It would seem logical to me that minorities, especially that have been vilified so much by this president and the people around him, would vote for their own best interest. Now, historically, as I go back looking at it and I look at the historical precedent for Operation Wetback and how that actually happened, and that Latinos were a large group supporting it, when it did happen, historically, it is by no means shocking that it happened again. And again, if it's cheated, then I was right anyways. But it shouldn't have been close enough for them to cheat. And again, it's partly, this is where I make shit my responsibility. If I can say something or do something, I will. And if stuff's outside my, what I call my locus of control, it's what it's called in Stoicism. It's like anything outside your point of control, I don't fret it. I only do the things that are within my control, and again, speaking on these things and directing, attitudes, that's something I have a power to do. But I can't make the fact that that a huge portion of the Latino community in the United States are the people who climbed over other people to get to this country, paid their way into the country, and want to pull the ladder up behind them. And that was statistically significant in a few states. And that's an important lesson. Now, the question you have to ask yourself going forward is, did they do it because they're bad people, or because they believe bad things, or because they believe you have to do bad things to do good things eventually? There's a myriad of reasons, okay? And so each of those has to be handled, like when I talk about homelessness, you got to handle it where it is. These are complex issues, and they will be handled. I'm not going to tiptoe around complexity. And if people try to oversimplify and jargon shit just because they don't like a depth of conversation, or they're concerned that any conversation gives in to the other side, that's part of what got us where we are as well. Am I blaming the loss on that? No, because I think a lot of people voted the way they voted because they really believe what they believe, that's deep work. If you're going to change hearts and minds, that's deep work. But if people were bullshit into it or mistaken, they're going to wake up to that very fast. And we got to be there to explain it to them when they do. Like I said, that's what I can do. And that's what I will do. It's because we were to be number one in school. No, it isn't. The cause is we were taught to be number one in school. Number one. I understand when you're typing very fast. No. Nobody's taught to be number one in school, especially now, and hasn't been for a long time. We've had a very accepting school culture for a very long time. Bullies do that shit, but it's not taught in school. We are, again, that is a. Is there an attempt to decomplicate? I'm going to work on some words for you guys to explain the sort of attitude of trying to strip the complexity of an idea, or someone convincing you that complexity can be stripped. Right? So there you go. No, not more homework. You don't have to do it. I will do it. Chicago fan. Ichigo fan. Sorry. I thought it said Chicago. It's my own wanting to read it. Ichigo fan. No. I'll do the homework. I can't. By the way, one of my teachers somewhere is fucking flipping out, like stumbling across this live stream and going, "Wait, is that Hal Sparks saying he's doing homework?" Yeah, it is.